Hello everybody.
Welcome to our second video on the topic of plastics. Last time we looked at where plastics come from, but today we will be discussing the problem of plastic pollution and looking at the global efforts to clean up ocean plastic.
Much of our plastic recycling finds its way to developing nations, especially Asia, where children are paid pennies a day to sort through the waste.
Chemicals used in the production of plastics are incredibly harmful to human and animal health, especially if care isn't taken to ensure that they are removed from the plastics before being manufactured into different products.
Nanoparticles of plastics have been found in drinking water across the world, the effects of which are currently being studied.
Plastic waste in oceans is a huge concern too. Because it can't be easily digested, it blocks the digestive tracts of animals that mistake it for prey, and eventually they may starve to death. Discarded fishing nets can trap air-breathing animals such as dolphins and sea turtles by stopping them from reaching the surface to take their next breath of air.
It's also a hazard to human health. Fish eat microplastics, confusing them for plankton, and as the fish eat more, it concentrates the microplastics within their systems. If those fish are caught for human consumption, those plastics begin entering our bodies. Additionally, these microplastics accumulate together in the oceans, acting as sponges, soaking up toxins created by their own breakdown, which are also then absorbed by the animals that consume them.
So what is being done? Hopefully you are familiar with the 3 R's: reduce, reuse and recycle. There are also several others including repair, return, refill and refuse. We have already mentioned the effects of plastic pollution on the seas. If nothing changes in the next 5 years, it is predicted that 250 million tonnes of plastic pollution will have made it into our oceans.
Where has all this plastic come from though? Many people think litter from the land is the main source, but most ocean plastic pollution comes from cargo ships and cruise ships jettisoning sewage, cargo and garbage overboard. Fishing vessels discard damaged nets overboard as well, and these are the ghost nets we mentioned earlier. Nets that float around the oceans on currents, ensnaring unlucky sea life.
Interestingly, a lot of what we now know about ocean currents has come from where plastics from known ship losses have washed ashore. Here we have a map of the Earth. Where do you think all the rubbish congregates in the oceans? What causes the plastic to gather in these areas? Ocean waters flow around the world in currents that are created by winds, temperature, differences in water and how salty the water is. These flows are what cause the rubbish patches to accumulate. Looking at this, how many patches do you think there are?
There are 5 major trash patches in the world's oceans. 2 of them are in the Pacific Ocean, 2 of them are in the Atlantic Ocean, and the last one is in the Indian Ocean. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, labelled number 1 on the map, is thought to be roughly 1.6 million square kilometres. That's almost 80 times the size of Wales. An estimated 87,000 metric tonnes of plastic inhabit that patch, totalling 1.8 trillion pieces. That's 250 pieces of plastic per human being alive today. It's not clumped together in one huge mass as the name may suggest though, but that is still a lot of plastic in the water. The concentration of plastic can range from 10 kilograms per kilometre squared at the outer edges of the patch to hundreds of kilograms per kilometre squared at the centre.
That may be hard to imagine, so think of it this way. At the outer edges of the patch where there is the lowest plastic concentration, that's the equivalent of a 25-metre swimming pool having 50 carrier bags floating in it. These patches are of great concern to ecologists. So how can we clean them up?
This is Boyan Slat from the Netherlands. He came up with the idea for a clean-up project when he was 16 years old. In 2012, when he was 17, he did a TED Talk about the idea, and when he was 18, he raised the 2.2 million euros needed to start the ocean cleanup project. Now at the age of 25, he is on the verge of creating fleets of these collectors to remove plastic from the oceans. They use the ocean currents themselves to push the garbage into the collector. When the collector is full, it automatically alerts a support ship to come and empty it.
The plastic waste that is collected can be reprocessed into many different things in many ways. If properly cleaned and sorted, the plastics can be ground up, melted and turned into new low-grade plastics. It could also be dissolved, breaking it down into the monomers it was originally made from, allowing it to be turned into new high-grade plastics.
It can be pyrolyzed, which means heated to a high heat but not burned, to break it into carbon dioxide and hydrogen, which can be used as feedstock for making algae-based plastics or as a fuel. If it can't be sorted into the different plastics we described in video 1, it can still be cleaned and then heated and extruded into plastic fibres, which are used in insulation and padding.
That's it for part 2, but next time we will be back to learn about newer environmentally friendly plastics. Thank you for listening. See you next time.